So this is your Churchill 5, 4.5 kilowatt Mark III stove on log store. The door handle can periodically get very hot. It is designed to stay a little bit cooler. It is hollow inside, however the bar and the back of the stove, so always wear your mitt when opening. Has a nice good deep ash pan which is retractable from under the stove. So once this gets full of ash, we do need to obviously dispose of it. Now, never put it straight into your wheelie bin or anywhere like that. Ideally, it needs to go into a metal bucket or container outside, and don't store ash actually inside the property either. It can be given off carbon monoxide just by smouldering inside the ash. So make sure it's nice and cold and before disposing. You put it in your bin, that side of thing, but make sure it's cold. Don't let this overfill because it can then start to block the air passages underneath. And never let it heap up too much underneath your grate, especially if you're burning smokeless coal.
So how often would you empty the grate then?
So pretty well once you start getting full. So you can give it a shake about the odd day, it'll probably fatten down a little bit. But once this is getting full, take it out.
It shouldn't be every time you use it.
Not every time you use it. Smokeless coal does make a lot more ash than burning just wood. Wood you'll probably be de-ashing once a week, whereas smokeless coal every 2 days if you're burning very regular.
Okay, that's helpful.
So it makes a lot more ash. In that respect. So your air control on this stove is this little lever here. When it's in the fully out position like it is now, it's on maximum, it's allowing a lot of air into the stove. You can then depress it inwards, which then shuts the airflow down. When it's to the left, it's what we call primary air, and when it's to the right, it's secondary air. Now primary air, when it's over here, is allowing air underneath the ash pan, around the ash pan, under the grate, for when you're burning smokeless coal. When you want to burn wood, you'll have it in the secondary air position. This then allows a lot more air through the air wash and through the tertiary bar at the back. Wood likes air from above. Smokeless coal likes air from underneath.
So
that's the reason for the two directionals.
So I think we're intending to do mostly wood.
Wood, okay.
So it'll probably sit in that position more often
more often. However, for lighting this stove, you would have the lever on the left to start with. And as the fire then gets established and you get started, you would then bring it perhaps to the middle and then across to the secondary for burning wood. However, if you're burning smokeless coal straight away, you keep it on that side and probably just push it in slightly, and that's it. With the wood burning, you've got a little bit more control, so you can push it in probably around about 50% inwards, and the stove should be burning just about where it wants to be. Okay. So you do a little kindling fire just to get things started, and just give you a quick demo. So these are the little fire lighters that we recommend. These are Flamers fire lighters. They're a little bale of strands dipped into paraffin wax to keep them held together. They don't smell, they're odourless, so unlike some fire lighters that can make your fingers smell or even make a pungent smell in the room, nothing really at all. Just one of those in the middle of the grate, and then ideally a crisscross pattern of kindling. So always put your sticks in. Always allow airflow around them, so make sure obviously plenty of air getting to your fuel. Obviously if you would just get a big piece on top of your bed of fire, it's just going to kill it because no air can get to it. Bit of fire lighter and good dry kindling and you'll be away. Like we say, we'll just do this. Now next time you go to start a fire, do your crisscross kindling and then a couple, not perhaps as high as that, but where those top bits are there, the bigger bits are perhaps the hardwood logs that we've given you, just to get them going, and then let the fire go out, because then it's had its first little heat cycle. The following time, start off with your kindling, with your fire lighter, with a couple of small logs. As they get going, add another log, sit back, give it a couple of hours, let it go out. And then again, you're burning for a bit long, for about 3 hours, and then 4 hours, and then all the curing process will be sorted. We're going to light the little fire lighter, just in the stove.
I see.
Lever fully out to the left, and then we don't fully close the door. However, the ropes are going to spring this open quite a bit, so we're just going to push the door to and leave it in that position for the first few minutes. If we were just to close the door, we're trapping a lot of moisture inside the stove, generated from just the fire bricks and the metal itself actually absorbing it as it's cooled. So we want to just make sure we get heat into the stove, so we're pushing all the moisture up the chimney, warming the flue and the chimney. So once that's nice and warm, then we can start looking at closing the door.
Right, so every time you light the fire,
every time you light the fire,
leave it with a little bit open on the door.
However, as you start to use the stove a few more times, you will be able to just get the handle just to latch half under the the latch there, and it'll hold.
Okay.
But because the ropes are new, it's just springing the door open at the moment. So then we'll just give it a couple of minutes, sit back. So once you give it a few minutes, you can start then to close the door. Make sure you don't get any condensation forming on the glass. If you do, just crack the door open again, give it a couple of minutes. And then wait for it to start really to establish. What might help actually is to bring the lever to the middle. You're then starting to mix primary and secondary air, so air from top and bottom. And then if you're just going to be burning wood, you would then push the lever over to the secondary end, and then you look to regulate the burn, like I said, roughly around about halfway in, and then that's pretty well it where she needs to be. You're looking for a nice slow hot flame rather than a really mad fast flame. So a nice steady hot flame, burning a little bit darker in colour, nice and bit of heat. And obviously as the stove warms up, that's what emanates the heat into the room. But just be aware of that curing process can give off quite a bit of a pungent smell, and then a bit of a haze, might sting your eyes, give you a bit of a sore throat. So just ventilate, open your windows and doors, and build up slowly.
What does the odour smell like? Is
it is like a new oveny type smell. So when you've had a new oven, you had your first, exactly the same sort of thing.
Okay.
However, you can get this 2 or 3 fires in as the whole stove starts to warm
it's a
up.
large piece of metal.
It is indeed, yeah. As the fire dies down, kindling will pretty well disappear, so that's why we advise a couple of bigger bits of log on the top. So as they die down and your flame's about ceased, and we don't advise really to open the stove door in full flame, because then you will get emittance into the room. And when you do go to open the stove door, just equalise the pressures first. You'll get a bit of mad ash and bits and bobs flying around, then you can open the door nice and slowly. Once the fire is ready for refuelling, ideally you bring the lever back across to the middle, fully out again. You're getting air mixing from top and bottom, get your embers nice and hot, so that when you do equalise the pressures, open the door slowly, pop a log on there, close the door again, wait for combustion.
Yeah.
Once you've got combustion, lever across to the right again, and then regulate. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, if you
every
just
time you put a log on, you put it in the middle.
in the middle, just to get everything nice and hot, so all those embers glowing nice and hot, ready for refueling.
Okay.
And like I say, if you're burning smokeless coal, you keep the lever in the primary position, and approximately about 20% in. That's all you need, and that's where you pretty well leave it. Now smokeless, as it burns, they stay as a ball of ash, so you'll need a poker just to knock them about, make sure the ash drops through, so you're making sure we've got air coming from underneath, and making sure the ash pan is emptied regularly for that. And you'll be good to go.
Cool. Yeah.
There we go.